Welcome to the Market Me podcast with your host, Mike Mall. Each episode of Market Me deconstructs real campaigns for actual businesses to improve their marketing efforts. Mike is the founder of Social Media House and a digital marketing consultant who teaches marketing strategy to executives and their teams from small business to Fortune 500 companies. Let's get started.
So, Lindsay Paige Stein is joining us from the Roundtrip Collective. She is a travel and food blogger and out of New York City. And I just wanted to thank you for spending a couple minutes with me today.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm excited to be here. Thanks for having me.
So I came across your content and you as a whole on TikTok, which we're going to get into. It's a really interesting kind of Wild West situation happening over there, which I love. But I'd love to talk to you about how you got into what you got into in the blogging and travel space. I think it's a career that a lot of people are jealous of, and I think on the surface they're like, can you actually get paid for this? You know, I think there's a lot of skepticism, but it's such a cool lifestyle. So I'd love for you to tell me about how you got into it. Yeah,
for sure. So going back to my background, I knew I wanted to go into PR. So that's what I studied in college. I studied communications and PR. And I also started my food and travel blog. So I knew I wanted to combine travel with that degree. So I ended up finding and researching travel public relations. And not a lot of people know about it. So I got into that, luckily. And, I've been doing that for a while now. So I'm managing hotels, destinations, tour operators with their PR as a whole.
Got it.
But I also do a lot of side hustles. So I'm freelance travel writing and have my own blog. And now, as we're going to talk about, launched my own business, mentoring students who want to do that same thing as turning your passion for travel into a full-time career.
Absolutely. And so how did you get into the space as a whole? Was it just kind of a passion, that was where you wanted to be growing up? It just felt like the path? Yeah.
Yeah, studying abroad actually is really what lit that fire in me to want to get into the travel industry. I studied in Prague and I was able to really go all over Europe. So at that point, I knew I wanted to continue traveling. And, I started being really persistent. I was getting internships every chance I can. I was making connections within the travel industry before I even graduated. So I set myself up in a really great position and worked really hard to get there so that ultimately I did get my dream job out of school, and that was in travel and tourism PR.
Got it. And so the path to that, which is interesting because, I think when you think about marketing, I think, the ads and all these other things come up first. PR is obviously a really important part. And so did you go into an agency when you were coming out of school? Yeah.
Yeah. So what I'm in right now is an integrated marketing agency. So we do traditional PR, but we also do social media, copywriting, and all types of marketing. But I am at a smaller agency, so there's a lot more flexibility and freedom and working from home versus a larger corporate agency. I knew corporate life wasn't for me. I'm just not that type of person. I love my freedom and obviously getting to travel for work. So that was important to me, was finding a great balance with having a stability in paychecks and having that freedom as well.
Amazing. Yeah. And so as the side hustle piece, the food blogging and the travel blogging, how did that start and when did that start? Because I'm curious because I see the websites and the profiles on Instagram, but what's been the journey of where this stuff lives and how you get attention? Take me through that process.
Yeah. So my food blog is at Nom Nom Blog, and that I actually started a while back, again, when I was studying abroad. And it was before even food influencers were a thing. So I just knew I wanted to share my travels and my love for food and trying new foods around the world with my friends and family. So I started the blog, I started the Instagram, and it actually picked up a lot of followers really quickly, especially a lot of college students who were also interested in studying abroad. So I grew a great community pretty quickly. And then once I moved to New York City, I was getting invited to then review restaurants and do my food photography for their marketing. And it really just took off from there.
Amazing.
Yeah.
That's great. And then on the travel side, was that more of a passion project more than it was?
Yeah, I'd say like the blog was very focused on food in the beginning, but then as I started working in the travel industry professionally, I was able to merge the two. So now I'd say like a lot of my focus is on travel, and of course, food and travel go hand in hand. So, but yeah, I'd say over time as I grew more into my career is when I started becoming more of an expert in that industry, and that's when that content took off.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. So let's switch gears. I mean, I think that's a good fill on the backstory.
Mm-hmm.
So now, right in the middle of COVID, you decided to launch this business, which I think it's awesome. I think it was a great idea. I think there's a great need for it. So yeah, tell me a bit more about that.
Yeah, I know. It sounds crazy that during the pandemic, I actually launched a travel-focused company. But for me, it just seemed like the perfect time because I was, as we talked about, I was dabbling in TikTok. I was posting content on there from my past travels. And I saw a lot of college students and young professionals were following me, started reaching out to me and asking, like, what do you do? What is the travel industry career path like? How can I get into that? And I realized there's a huge white space and a need for that resource. It's really an untapped space for college students and young professionals to learn the ins and outs of the travel industry, because there are so many paths that you can take, and you can actually have like a stable paycheck and be able to travel for work like I do. So yeah, I started it pretty quickly, about over a month ago. And I created a full-on program. It started off with a course. So there's like a whole travel career course that students sign up for, and they take it on their own time. And then as soon as they sign up, they're a part of my members, and I mentor them, and I bring on like guest Q&As for them within the travel industry. We actually have one today with a full-time travel blogger that they can learn from. And it's really been great, and it's been successful so far. So I'm excited to see, where it goes.
Amazing. And so when they enter the course, is it on a specific path? Like this is how you accomplish, making revenue through this, or is it helping them explore and understand the industry as a whole to see what path it could go down?
Yeah. So this first course is really kind of like an intro, because it's hard to tell them step by step on if they don't know what they want to do yet. So this is an exploration on here are all the different paths, what they entail, the pros and cons, the salaries, everything that you need to know about them. And then I work with them to figure out what they want to do. And then we take it a step further. And if they think that they want to go into travel writing in particular, I mentor them and help them really garner that experience and that knowledge, because the first step is really just the knowledge of the industry. And of course, everyone's path is different. Like no one's going to do exactly what I do, but they're going to have their own way of doing it. And it's possible, as long as you start making the connections early and learning it early on, like I did in college, you're going to set yourself up for success.
Yeah. One of the conversations, I have a lot of conversations with people who have, built successful things. And one common thread amongst the people that do really, really well is the idea of building community, but B, really networking in the right way. And would you say that that's been a big driver for you and your success in your regular career? Yeah. Yeah,
for sure. I mean, I'd say a lot of what I'm doing now is all about the connections and the relationships I've made. And, it's not just going to an event and handing out your business card, but it's really like making the personal connections and being in PR. That's really what my job is about, especially with like editors and writers, is making those connections. So I'd say a mix of being in that industry and also just over time learning how to make those connections is what has gotten to me where I am now.
Sure. And what would you say for someone who is kind of intimidated by the idea of making the connections? Like what's one thing that you've kind of, it's been a universal truth for you, or something you've picked up along the way that's really helped in fulfilling that the right way?
I tell my students that when they're reaching out to someone, just remember that those people were in your exact shoes at one point. Like they're not that intimidating. They have, been where you are. They work their way up to where they are. So just if you think of it that way, it really breaks down that barrier and just makes it a little easier to take that step. And in the end, I found that every time I reach out, people are so generous and, really want to just help each other out.
Yeah. I think one thing that people miss sometimes is reaching out as if the person's a human on the other end. They're like, well, how much content can I put into this outreach to try and to try and make sure that they understand everything right away. It's like, no, they don't care. They don't even know who you are. Like,
exactly.
So where do you see kind of this thing going? I mean, obviously in the early stages, it's, making sure that the material is great and the community is great. But I mean, I think this is a really interesting path because a lot of people, and I've had the conversation over and over again through the last couple of months, people saying, I don't even really trust my job. Like as soon as we were too much of an expense, like we were expendable. And that's scary. And people that thought they were really established and people that thought that they had it figured out are now kind of like, wait, do I have this figured out? So, I mean, I love the idea because, working for yourself and creating your own kind of future with it is amazing. So how do you kind of envision the product?
Yeah. So, I mean, of course I envision the community growing, and I've been seeing that every day there's been, word of mouth and new followers, and people who have already taken the course are telling their friends about it. So really my goal right now is to, of course, focus on my community first, because in the end, they'll be the ambassadors, so to say, telling people about it and telling their friends. So I really want to grow that strong, tight-knit community. But I do obviously have big plans because I'm a dreamer and I'm constantly brainstorming things. And I'm working on doing educational retreats for college students during their breaks. So it's for students who are particularly interested in the travel industry. So it will be Photoshop workshops, like Instagram, blogging, things like that.
Love it. That's so smart. So one thing that has been on my mind, and we talked a little bit about it before, and I keep bumping into people who are just like, TikTok changed my life. Tell me about that. How did you even decide to get started on it?
So yeah, I mean, honestly, I truly think that if I didn't start TikTok during quarantine, I don't think I would have started the Roundtrip Collective. It sounds crazy because it really sparked that idea for me, because that targets my Gen Z market. And going into it, I didn't even think that's what I was doing. I was just posting my travel content and, having fun with it. But as soon as I got flooded with messages, I was like, oh, wow, this is I'm onto something. And it really sparked this idea for me that I'm passionate about, and it gives me so much more purpose. And I think that TikTok is truly something that every business owner, small business owners, should take part in, because it really, now it's grown to not only Gen Z, but a lot of different audiences, and it's really growing quickly.
Yeah. How do you think about strategy? So you said before you were just taking kind of videos and clips from previous travel. Were you kind of just uploading them and matching them up to music at the beginning? Because I know that's I did that with a couple of climbing videos. Like, how does this work? And you post a video and they're like, oh, here's some songs that would work. And you're like, how did you pick that?
Yeah.
It's pretty crazy. So how did you kind of start, and how has your strategy and your ideas evolved from what you've seen so far?
So in the beginning, I did start researching how to get the best impressions out of it. And it's crazy because the video that went viral with over 2 million views, the song wasn't even a trending song, which I know is what people say to use are the trending songs. It was just a song that I liked. And I've heard before, I was like, this would be a good song for this Maldives video. But I did start seeing that there wasn't a lot of hotel content. So I went out of the box and did a 60-second hotel review video for the 3 different Maldives hotels that I went to. And those are the ones that went viral. And now I'm just, listening to my audience, seeing what they're commenting and the questions that they're commenting. And that's kind of how I'm strategizing my next video. So if I see someone ask me a question, I'll do a video on that. And I'm just still playing around with it. It's all new to me. So.
Yeah, well, I mean, really, it's all new to everybody. It's so crazy how it just hasn't been around, but it's, and there's some arguments from people that, the number of views can be kind of hyped up because they're trying to get people to use it. But regardless of if any of that's true, all these conspiracies around it, like I've seen people building real companies and like I talked to a guy a couple weeks ago and like he's like, I have a merch line and it's selling well. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
He's like, yeah, I don't know. It's just
the
people
numbers,
are buying it.
yeah, they're matching up. And I mean, aside from myself, I was telling you about this, I've seen so many other people, start their own small businesses from TikTok, and even with like Etsy shops and things like that. And watching their success like firsthand, it just proves that it really is working. And for me, like a lot of my course leads were coming from TikTok. So, they'll find me there, they'll follow me on Instagram, we'll DM, and, I really am building these connections with them. So it's awesome.
Awesome. Well, look, I'm glad that I got to chat with you kind of early in the journey. I know I really feel, and I've been around marketing and strategy for a long time, I really feel like these types of endeavors are what the world needs. I think there's too many big one size fits all services and jobs and products out there. And I think the people like you who kind of have a unique lens and kind of dive into my niche and really serve it well are going to be the people that come out ahead of it. So I'm really excited to see what the future brings for it.
Thank you so much. I'm excited.
So if anybody is listening and they're interested, or they know someone that might be interested, where is the best place to A, follow you, and B, check out your courses and your offering?
Yeah, so the course and the Roundtrip Collective website is theroundtripcollective.com. And you could follow me at Lindsay Paige Stein on TikTok and Instagram. And the Roundtrip Collective is also on Instagram.
Awesome. Well, look, really appreciate your time. And it was great chatting with you. And I wish you all the best.
Thank you so much. I'm glad we got to chat.
All right. Bye.
All right. Bye.